My name is Bob Brown. I'm the Executive Director at the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula, and I certainly want to welcome every one of you here to the museum today. This is a very special day for us. It's a very special day for you. It is wonderful to see so many Korean War veterans out here. Forgotten war, forgotten home fronts, forgotten veterans perhaps, but what you did is just absolutely remarkable, and we're here to honor that. Now, at this point, I would invite the American Legion Hellgate Post 27 Honor Guard and VFW Post 209 Honor Guard to bring in the flag. And now for the national anthem. And now, if you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, if you please join me in a moment of silence for those veterans who have passed on, and Michael Langley will be our piper. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Well, again, I want to welcome every single one of you here to the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula this afternoon, and particularly to this program. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at the exhibit yet, please do at the conclusion of the ceremonies. I'm sure we'll get a lot of stories, and that's the great thing about being able to do something like this. The exhibit has been a long time in preparation. We've had a lot of support from a lot of people. My senior curator, Jane Richards, pulled most of it all together. She's over here to the far right. Of course, we have the financial support of Insured Titles, so I also want to thank them. At this point, in order to move the program along, I'd like to introduce Tamara King. She is the education curator here at the Historical Museum, and she'll have a few words and then introduce our keynote.
Thanks everyone for being here. This is really special. I met Martha Kennedy Lindley at the National Counselor for the Social Studies annual conference in Phoenix last November. She was promoting teacher participation for the 50th anniversary of the Korean War. I'd like to introduce Martha. Martha Kennedy Lindley is a journalist first class. She has served as the Education Program Coordinator with the Department of Defense Korean War Commemoration Committee since September 1999. She's responsible for a national education program designed to thank and honor Korean War veterans and their families while educating the public about the lessons of the Korean War and the sacrifices of the veterans. Prior to coming to the committee, she was the Deputy Director of Public Affairs for Joint Task Force Southwest Asia in Saudi Arabia. Presently, she is a recalled naval reservist from Maine, where in her civilian life, she is a country school teacher on a small island. Martha is the mother of 7 sons, one of whom is currently serving in Iraq. She also has 6 granddaughters, 1 grandpuppy, and a grandkitty. Her assignment on the committee ends August 4th of 2003. Please join me in welcoming Martha Kennedy Lindley.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Dr. Brown, for those kind words. It's an honor to share the podium today with representatives from Senator Baucus, Senator Burns, and Senator Reberg's, or Congressman Reberg's office, and Commissioner Carey and Commissioner Evans. But the biggest honor of all is to be invited to speak at the opening of this exhibit honoring our Korean War veterans. I'm here on behalf of the Department of Defense Korean War Commemoration Committee. Our executive director is Major General Nels Running of U.S. Air Force retired. And he's a native of Montana, and I'm a country school teacher from a small island in Maine. I'm here, and he's in D.C. with the snow and the cherry blossoms. When I asked if there was anything he would like me to bring back, he said, some of us like huckleberry jam. So now I need to know where I can find the very largest jar of huckleberry jam in Montana. Am I good now? Webster's Dictionary defines a museum as an institution devoted to the procurement, care, study, and display of objects of lasting value. Also, a place where objects are exhibited. This statement is true as far as it goes, but this museum is so much more than that. This museum houses not merely objects of lasting value, but the legacy of those who fought in a war against a new enemy, the communist forces of North Korea, the Soviet Union, and China. Early on a Sunday morning nearly 53 years ago, in a country most Americans barely knew existed and could not begin to find on a world map, a horde of North Korean soldiers crossed the 38th parallel into the Republic of Korea, and thus began the Korean War. Our soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen, and yes, even the Coast Guard began the war ill-prepared, poorly clothed, and unsuitably armed. Most had entered a peacetime service and were not trained, equipped, or even expecting to deal with the invasion of a small country, an invasion that would change their lives forever. They faced many enemies on the battlefields, in the air over Mig Alley, as well as at sea. They faced the enemies of time and place, as they did the human enemies that fate had thrown their way. And they faced all of these with undaunting courage and firm determination to overcome. From the Pusan perimeter to the tent city at Munsun-ni, our troops left their marks, and their blood, and their innocence. The battles of Chosin Reservoir, Pork Chop Hill, Old Baldy, and others on hills that lacked names and were identified merely by numbers. They met an enemy head-on with everything that a warrior could give, and then came back for more. Some did not survive, and those who did carried with them for 50 years or more the scars of battle. Their courage and determination became part of the legacy they leave for the rest of us. The legacy of the Korean War is not just found in objects and artifacts that are left behind. The legacy is also found in the actions, the courage, the fortitude, the strength of body and mind, and the honor that our Korean War veterans showed every day of the war and continue to show to this day. As you view the objects of lasting value on exhibit here, also take time to reflect on the intangible legacy our veterans leave for subsequent generations, where they leave the perfect example of the American spirit. I invite you to talk to the Korean War veterans that are here today and to listen to what they have to say. I guarantee that you will walk away from that conversation with a new appreciation and understanding of the American fighting forces. When I was in Aiken County, South Carolina last spring, a Korean War veteran came up to me, shook my hand and said, "Thank you for serving in the military today, and thank you for all that you and the committee are doing for the veterans." My response to that veteran was, "No, sir, thank you. You are the one that should be thanked for all that you did and continue to do. It is my honor and my pleasure to be able to shake your hand." Nearly 6 years ago, the United States Congress authorized the Department of Defense to lead the United States of America Korean War commemoration. Our mission, as outlined by Congress, is to provide the people of the United States with a clear understanding and appreciation of the lessons and history of the Korean War, to thank and honor Korean War veterans and their families, to pay tribute to the contributions and sacrifices the American people made on the home front, to highlight advances in medicine, technology, and science during the Korean War, to recognize the contributions and sacrifices made by the allies of the United States during the Korean War. Now, what exactly did all of those words mean? And how does a committee with only 23 members carry that mission out? We can't do it by ourselves. The primary way that we accomplish this is through our commemoration partners. This is a grassroots effort of well over 13,000 veterans organizations, civic groups, schools, museums, libraries, Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops, cities and towns, both large and small, who have stepped forward and said, "Yes, we will be part of this mission. Now, what can we do?" Dr. Brown and his staff have embraced their role as a commemoration partner wholeheartedly. This fine exhibit is a prime example of how a commemoration partner can thank and honor the veterans and educate the public. And if that's not enough, Tamara King, the education coordinator, organized and developed a teacher workshop and additional training for the docents on the Korean War.
The museum is also actively involved with the Library of Congress Veterans History Project by recording the stories of our veterans for future generations. In addition, they are hosting one of the nation's first Korean War legacy trunks. These trunks are designed to be lasting and a dynamic reminder of the contributions and sacrifices made by our veterans. They are tailored to reflect the stories of local veterans as well as the background and scope of the war. Students and teachers who use these trunks are encouraged to add an idea, a suggestion, comment on their experience with the trunks, or in a meeting with a veteran, or to share a lesson plan or teacher activity with the next user. Veterans and family members are encouraged to add copies, and I emphasize the word copies, of newspaper articles, journals, photos, letters, and so forth. This way our school children will come to know the veterans and their experiences and sacrifices in a way no textbook could begin to tell them. The Korean War is often referred to as the Forgotten War, but our committee's time is coming to an end as we rapidly approach July 27th, in the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Armistice Agreement. The Korean War Legacy Trunk Program is intended to serve as a continuing tribute to the men and women who served. The rest, then, is up to you to make sure that the Korean War is no longer forgotten. Community events like this one is a wonderful way to highlight the contributions made over 50 years ago in a country halfway around the world. Now, before I close, there are 3 things I would like to do. First is to ask you to turn around or look to your side, find a Korean War veteran, shake their hand, and thank them for their service. And now they know why I gave out the little tags. Okay, in second, I would like to officially present the museum with this plaque. Or actually, it's a picture with a plaque. And that's our way on the committee of saying thank you for all that you're doing for the veterans. And third, I have a certificate here. It's a certificate of achievement awarded to Tamara King for outstanding support to the Department of Defense commemoration for the 50th anniversary of the Korean War. Freedom is not free, and it's signed by Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld. Now, in closing, the other day I read a toast by Terry Tempest Williams, and I took the liberty of reworking it a little bit for my closing. And it goes, let us toast twice. First to the veterans. May your days come to be many, full of comfort and understanding. May they be spent knowing that your service and sacrifice will not be forgotten, and that all that you did will live on in the hearts of those who follow. Now, for the younger generation that's here, you're part of the toast. May you accept the gifts the veterans gave, knowing they came from old-fashioned courage and ethics. These gifts can be carried along forever like rusting relics, or they can be worn as wings. Let us all wear them as wings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martha. Very moving. Thank you. Now we had invited the senators, Senator Baucus and Senator Byrds and Congressman Rehberg, to attend this, but I think you can understand things are a little hectic in Washington right now. So they have all sent their representatives. Senator Max Baucus first is represented by Dana Vogel, his field representative. And Dana has brought with her a letter from the senator, which she has asked me to read. It's addressed to the Korean War Conflict Exhibit Opening, Fort Missoula Historical Museum. That's close. Missoula, Montana. Thank you for inviting me to the opening of this exhibit honoring our Korean War veterans. I apologize for not being able to be with you today. No doubt, this exhibit will go a long way in better educating young and old on the challenges faced by those who served in Korea during and following their service. Those who have lost and risked their lives to protect our freedoms deserve the utmost reverence. Regardless of the battlefield they saw then or the public monuments we may see now, these brave men and women all gave something to protect our way of life. Whether the two world wars, Korea or Vietnam, the commitment was just as strong, the sacrifices just as great, and the impact of lost loved ones just as poignant for communities, families, and friends. Again, I appreciate the invitation to this opening, and I'll visit this exhibit in the near future. All my best, signed, Max Baucus. Senator Conrad Burns is represented by his field representative, Erin Ballas. Erin?
Senator Burns regrets that he can't be here today, but he's asked me to read a short letter on his behalf. Dear friends, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the invitation to attend this very special opening exhibit. It is my sincerest regret that I cannot be part of your ceremony today, but I appreciate the opportunity to convey my thoughts to you in this letter. I would like to recognize and honor all of the Korean War veterans and their families, especially those that have lost loved ones and the families of those that did not return. The Korean War has become known as the Forgotten War, but America cannot ever forget what you and your families have sacrificed in the name of freedom. As our country embarks on another treacherous journey, we must not only look ahead to what lies in store for our military, but also look behind and remember those that have already been there. Thank you again for your invitation to attend your ceremony. My thoughts and prayers are with our men and women overseas, as well as those veterans that relive their experiences daily. May God bless America. Yours truly, Conrad Burns, United States Senator.
I could see he got the name right, too. Congressman Denny Reberg also sends his regrets, and unlike the schedule, Terry Donnell is not available, but Tom Schultz, press secretary, will be representing the congressman.
Thank you, Bob. On behalf of Denny and his staff, I want to express our appreciation and honor at the invitation to be a part of this unveiling ceremony today. Unfortunately, Denny did have some prior commitments, and he's unable to be here. He expresses his regrets at that, and I have a letter addressed specifically for this occasion. And Denny writes, Dear friends, thank you for your gracious invitation to attend the opening of the Korean War exhibit at the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula. I regret that obligations elsewhere keep me from being with you. They call it the Forgotten War, tucked in between World War II and Vietnam. The Korean War called forth and took away many of the best of us. Some 37,000 Americans gave their lives in the Korean theater. Over 92,000 were wounded in action. At the last count, there are still over 8,000 MIAs. It still might be called the Forgotten War, but to those of us who cherish peace, who honor the liberties we share under this flag, who love our country, and who revere those willing to lay down their lives for these precious things, the Korean War, or any war which we send American troops, will never be forgotten. And here Denny begins to address some of the veterans here today, all of the veterans here today. Today, we stand in the shadows of another war. Operation Iraqi Freedom is underway. Our courageous young men and women in Iraq are risking their lives for a just cause, just as you Korean War veterans did in Korea half a century ago. We know full well that freedom is never without a heavy cost. But since the founding of our great nation, we have always been prepared to pay that price to defend our families, to defend freedom, and to liberate the oppressed. This exhibit at the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula reminds us of how much we owe you. Your service to the United States of America during the Korean War is honored and recorded and will never be forgotten, neither in the archives of our country nor in the hearts of your family and friends. May God bless you for all you have given and for all you continue to give, and may God bless the brave men and women serving this nation today. And it's signed sincerely, Denny Reberg, Montana's Congressman. So once again, on behalf of Denny and his staff, thanks for the invitation, and thanks for this exhibit. I know that it'll be a great source of education and also pride and comfort. Thank you.
Now, a couple words from the chair of the Missoula County Board of Commissioners, Phil Carey.
Thank you, Bob. I would just like to say on behalf of the citizens of Missoula County how important and how grateful we are for this particular exhibit coming at this particular time. So thank you, Bob. Thank you to your staff. Thank you to the Friends of the Museum and the board for reminding us that we do have to pause to remember that freedom isn't free, that we earn it every day, and in some cases we earn it at a very, very dear price. So I thank all of you who served in this conflict. I thank the men and women who are currently serving now, and I hope they're home safe soon. Thank you.
Commissioner Barbara Evans was unable to attend, but Commissioner Gene Curtis has shown up.
Thank you, Bob. I'd also like to thank the museum staff and all of our veterans associations here in the Missoula area for all their work to bring this exhibit together. And a special thanks to all of you who served and those of you who waited at home for the folks who were in the Korean conflict to come home. And I'd just like to also remember those that are fighting today for someone else's freedom, and we wish them all that they can come home too, and to come home to a grateful country. And I always remember that the United States of America is the home of land of the free, because we are also the home of the brave, and you guys are those brave people. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now, as part of the pinning ceremony, what we have entailed here is it may get a little complicated. It's wonderful to see so many veterans out here. So what we plan to do, are we ready? What we plan to do, we will invite the veterans to come forward, and we will ask you to give us your name, the rank that you had, and the unit that you were in, and our dignitaries will take turns helping Martha present the pins.
Bob McDonald, 1st Marine Division.
Howard Olson, 8th Army and our aircraft unit.
Yeah, it was
Norm Balco, Sergeant, 36th 22nd Ordnance.
we had some of those guys.
James Duggan, USS Iowa.
Richard Moss, the 31st Infantry Regiment, a platoon leader on Pork Shop.
I was a master sergeant in the 933rd Anti-Aircraft Artillery.
Sergeant First Class Richard McKennedy, 45th Infantry Division. Sergeant Jones, 25th Division, Chief Combat Engineer.
Jim Karstecki, very 1st Amputech Battalion, 1st Marine Division.
Maxim Sanchez, 25th Infantry Division.
Tell those stories.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Bland, 3rd Infantry Division of 10th Combat Engineers.
James Simmons, Corporal, 809th Aviation Battalion.
George Nagel, Seaman First Class USS Boxer.
There you go.
Dwayne Self, Master Sergeant, 3rd Battalion, 17th Infantry, 7th Infantry Division.
John Hurst, Corporal, Army Signal Corps, 16th Battalion. Staff Sergeant Nick Bryan, 5th Marine Division, Chosen Reservoir Supply.
Corporal Jassy, 25th Infantry, 25th Infantry Regiment.
Do you need some more?
Mailman 3rd Class, got report to the
Upside down. Thank you, folks.
Alan Donaldson, 1st Marine Division.
That's your worst nightmare, isn't it?
51 and 52.
Oh, it's awesome. We do.
Donald wasn't?
Ed Level,
I told him to be talented today.
Lots of room.
Dave Sanders, Georgia Company, 160th Police Division. Harold Hanger, Storekeeper First Class, USS Essex, CVA 9. Corporal Lynn Spiegler, 204th Field Artillery, 51 and 53. Lynn Spiegler.
Kurt Welder, Sergeant, U.S. Special Forces Group, 5th Special
How about your collar? Okay. Everybody can see it. That's right.
Joe Cleary, Corporal, 2nd Division.
More handsome in here. Thank you very much.
Don Hamill, Corporal, 1st Baptist, USMC, 1416, 338. Never forget.
Don Burke, Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, Charlie Company, 1st Marine Regiment, 51.
Carson Beers, 374th. Leonard Mordew, USS Rainier.
We got to get everything we can for free. Thank you. Oh, you found some more. I want to sign you up. You're a good scoundrel.
Well, we sent 50 of them with the things on them, and then
Paul Skull, 2nd Lieutenant, 21st Engineer Aviation Battalion.
We went into the third once and we had a cook. We said, gee, we'd like some cake like one of these Army guys again. They said, you go steal some cake pans. I'll bake you cake. So we did.
absolutely.
He gave me giving away.
I said the same thing.
Did you have one of those pins those guys had? No, I can find one of them. Thank you.
Wayne Howlett, Corporal, Heavy Mortar Company, 15th Infantry, 3rd Infantry Division.
Okay. Alex. 52. He's wearing his uniform.
Ron Dice, Sergeant,
That's awesome.
50th AAA.
All right.
Naval Aviation Ordnance. Philippine Sea, 1950, the day it started. Tom Brame, 230,
1st Engineer Combat Battalion.
Bob Barn, Corporal, Charlie Battery, 111.
And I meant to, which is why I...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's something in the letter from the
Yeah.
Greg Doty, Amphibious Boat Group, 1950.
Isn't it great? I love the guy who fit in his uniform still. Brad picked it in.
Dog Company,
We are Corporal Ken Brown, 1st Cav, 5th Regiment, Charlie Company.
Doing good. Easy? Good. Good. I haven't talked to him. Since I signed him.
Bill Corser, 1st Marine Sergeant.
Sorry about that.
Charles Israel, Signal Corps.
Like this higher collar here? Okay.
John Caligaris, USN, USS Prince Rene.
Sergeant Robert Leafrouse, 2nd Signal Company, 2nd Division, assigned to the Eiffel Security Force, which is a clean outfit by action on Bloody Ridge and White Ridge.
Corporal Jim Collins, 6th Departmental Supply.
22nd Signal Company, I Corps 8th Army. Super.
Tom Johnson, 4th Fifth Ranger.
Would you like it on your outside back there?
Johnson Tom Schultz.
Ralph Keppel, Lineman 2nd Class, U.S. Navy.
Ralph Jordan, Corporal, 25th Infantry Division, Heavy Weapons Company.
Doug Allard, U.S. Marine Corps, Staff Sergeant, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, 1951-52.
Laurel Wilson, U.S. Navy, Fleet, USS Merrimack, 47.
Okay. Thank you.
George Biggs, Full Set Support, Marine Full Set Support Squad. Put it in my jacket.
I'm John Sawyer, and I was in the Navy. I was on the USS Genesee AOTA in the Korean War.
Thank you.
I'm Bob Mudry, Sergeant, and 27th Division. Lawrence Rasmussen, Sergeant,
Charlie Whitfield, 1st Lieutenant, 7th Infantry Division, Munchville. George Dogan, 1st Lieutenant, 5th Regimental Combat Team. Lower 2 also, Charlie Whitfield. Alan Baumberger, 1st Cav, 1st Combat Engineer.
John Keefe, 1st Lieutenant, 1st Amphibian Assault Battalion, 1st Marine Division.
Sergeant Gerald Nelson, 445th Tank Battalion and the 45th Infantry Division.
Thank you.